These are the best tasting movie reviews. This is incredible. These are the best. What do you think of these, Anthony?
Oh God, they're delicious.
Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. Are you ready to Sundance?
Yeah!
I'm your host, Chris Gore. I'm the host of a show called the Film Threat Podcast. We do a website called filmthreat.com. My co-host is
Anthony Red Banjo. How's it going, everybody?
And thank you. So we do a podcast every week. We talk about movies. Yes, we talk about the mainstream releases, but we also talk about independent film, and we're so excited to be here at Sundance, where every year I get inspired by the movies that come out of Park City, because the best indie films can be seen here, and we're fortunate enough to be here to actually see them in person. I'm excited today because this is a very special episode of the Film Threat Podcast, not just because it's live here in Park City, but because we have some very special guests. They're going to help us give away $1,000 in free advertising on Film Threat. Now, I think that's a huge value to a filmmaker, because we get hit up all the time to help filmmakers out, and $1,000 in free advertising can help a lot of filmmakers out. And also, we're going to be doing something. If you are an aspiring filmmaker, if you're an indie filmmaker that's stuck, if you have some issues and you need them solved, come up here. We're going to be bringing people into the chair of destiny. And in the chair of destiny, we are going to make independent filmmakers' dreams come true by helping you solve your problems. So
shouldn't we have like an asterisk, like where we're not going to fund your movie or do anything drastic?
You have no idea. We might actually fund the movie.
I have no money. I'm not going to give you any money. I'm sorry. I can't speak for Chris. He might throw you some dollars.
If the movie costs $20, we can fund your movie.
Yeah. You have my support emotionally, though. I'm in.
So this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited that you guys are here to participate. So please fill in the seats up front. Join us, because I know it's packed back there, and I know why it's packed. It's because they have delicious drinks there for free and pizza. So enjoy that, but bring it with you. You can bring it on stage. We don't care. We're very casual at the Film Threat Podcast. Before we introduce our guests, which I'm very excited to have them on the show, I want to ask my co-host Anthony, what is the best thing you've seen in Park City so far? Because I know we all get in lines, we're talking about movies, and I haven't seen a lot of movies, to be honest. I've only seen a few. But what is something you'd recommend and tell people that they should go see? Anything you've seen so far?
Oh, hands down, Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Mr. Rogers documentary. I'm wearing the button right here. There's buttons over there. It was directed by Morgan Neville. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen in a long time. Everything about it is just what we need today, with everything, all the shit going on. It's uplifting. It's interesting to know that there's this person that just cared and wanted to educate children, wanted to just lift the world up. Another one is also a documentary. It was the Robin Williams one, Come Inside My Mind. I liked it a little less than Won't You Be My Neighbor, but it made me laugh so hard that my sides hurt, and there was some great Mork and Mindy outtakes that nobody has seen. Like, they dug deep into like the archives for it. I mean, those are the two ones that are must-see, but I've also seen a few other ones. Private Life with Paul Giamatti and Catherine Hahn was really good.
I thought I said one movie, one recommendation. Now you're going on.
Fuck you, Chris. I'm taking over the show.
All right.
This is my show now. You can sit down. That's okay.
I would just see a movie called Clara's Ghost. Unexpected, really interesting movie to see with Chris Elliott and members of his family. And before we bring up our guests today, I'm very excited to have them on the show, I want to give out a special thanks to everyone here at Legion M. The team here has been incredible. Yes.
You guys are the best.
Paul Scanlon, the whole team, you guys are just fantastic. I want to thank also Movie Pilot, Evolution Fresh, the Cinemark Movie Club. If you're going to join a movie club, Cinemark is a movie club, and you should join them. And there's pamphlets out there. And also, I want to thank actually Red Banjo Pizza. I've been coming here for years. I've been coming here since the 90s. This is my favorite pizza place in Park City on Main Street. I love you guys. Every year I make it a point to come here a couple times. I tell every filmmaker you gotta stop by Red Banjo Pizza. So the staff here has been incredible. Thank you everyone from Red Banjo Pizza. You guys rock. Yeah. All right, now there is a movie that you should see in Park City that we failed to mention, specifically because the guests are on our show, and it would be weird if we mentioned it and then suddenly they came up. So this is like a bonus recommendation, which is the film Mandy with Nicolas Cage. All right, and we are so fortunate enough to have Josh Allen, the producer, here, and Aaron Stewart, writer. Come on up on stage, join us for a conversation. Come on up. Come on up. We've got you some microphones and drinks if you need them.
Give me a mic.
I think you
grab
guys
a mic. Grab a microphone.
All right. I have to say this because the Legion M people are very close friends of mine.
Yeah.
Both times I've now been on Legion M, you guys have completely not said my last name.
What is it?
Hi, my name is Josh Waller.
Josh Waller.
Yes. I don't know where Josh Allen came from.
I don't know.
Yesterday
I know a guy named Josh Allen.
Josh Woods made sense because of Elijah, because we were like right there, obviously.
This is the great thing about live podcasts.
Maybe because
anything can happen. Anything can happen.
I don't know.
So, well, Josh Waller, my apologies.
You should.
My apologies.
I don't blame you. I blame Legion M. Yeah.
We think they set you up.
But now one thing I feel like I pride myself on what we do at Film Threat when we cover things is we
get names right.
We get, first of all, we occasionally get names right, but more importantly, we like to stay no bullshit. And I feel like that there's a lot of, in more than any other industry on the planet, there's a lot of bullshit. There is so much bullshit in the film industry. There's a movement that started last year that has had a very positive effect that has been long time in the coming, called the Me Too movement, or Time's Up, and all of that has had a hugely positive effect, and it's been a long time coming. Yes. And I'll say this, when I brought Film Threat magazine to Hollywood in the early 90s, I was like a kid from Michigan. I didn't know anything about the entertainment industry. And my thought was that the casting couch was a cliche left over from the 40s, and it wasn't real. And then I moved here and began to make friends in the indie film world and found out that that shit is fucking real. And so I started a column in Film Threat called Tales from the Casting Couch, where we wrote about actors, both male and female actors, that were taken advantage of, and that really made Film Threat kind of a pariah in the industry by exposing that stuff in the early 90s. I appreciate the fact that now the industry is finally, that women are not afraid to speak out, that now and you know what, who better to talk about this issue than four guys, four men on stage, who better to discuss, three white guys, three white guys, who better to discuss this issue than us? But I just feel like I appreciate having a real conversation, so I want to get into the nitty gritty, because when you normally talk to producers, right, the whole thing is, how did we raise the money like this? I worked with so-and-so and they were great. Everything is, unicorns and rainbows coming out of your ass. But the truth is that there's definitely a sausage-making factor to getting films made. So what was maybe the best part of the experience of making Mandy, and maybe the worst part for you, in terms of from the producing side?
From the producing side, asking me
best and worst side,
after 2 days after the premiere,
right?
All of it is irrelevant.
Right, yeah.
Honestly, because I look at, he knows this, I kind of joke about it and they make fun of me about it, but like I look at going to make a film as going to war, which is why like I don't get you know, when things go wrong on set, I'm not surprised. I was expecting it. When things go right on set, I'm surprised. You know what I mean? So
he also happens to be a military veteran. So.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, which is also a fucked up institution, by the way. The military. There's a lot of gross stuff in there too. But you know, the whole thing was rewarding, you know, from the moment that we connected with Panos, like over 5 years ago. No, it was longer than that because it was right after Black Rainbow came out. The whole process of like talking about it, and a lot of that had to do with him because he's not anxious as a filmmaker. He's very patient. He just wants to make the movie that he wants to make. So we never felt that like, oh God, we got to get this going. And he was like, dude, let's just. In fact, he was the opposite of most filmmakers. Let's just take our time, guys. And we like, oh, okay. So it was all beautiful.
Well, a question, and I really want you to think about this one, that your closest friend is about to produce their first feature for the first time. And if you could give that friend, very close friend, one piece of advice, what would the one piece of advice be to this close friend? 15 seconds. Take your time. No, I'm just kidding.
Close friend is going to produce
Close friend is going to produce a film for the first time. I mean, you're a veteran producer, but I'm saying someone's going to make their movie for the first time. What's the one thing they must know?
The one thing that they must know is that you need to put your ego aside. It's not about you. It's about the filmmaker. And you shouldn't be separating the film from the filmmaker. If you're doing it right, they're one and the same. So you're at one point, you're kind of run blocking for your filmmakers so they can run the ball, and you just take all the shrapnel on the back. And then when they turn around and they say, how's everything going? You go, it's going great, man. It's going great. Everything's great. But they don't need to see the blood in your back. You know what I mean?
I want to chime in here and say, as somebody who was purely on the creative end of this movie, SpectraVision, the company that Josh is a part of with Daniel Noah and Elijah Wood, they did that so much on this movie. They protected a very weird movie. They let it be what it was. And there was never any sense of somebody hovering over a shoulder whispering, you need to change this to be more commercial or to compromise this. There was somebody protecting a very unique, strong vision. And I want to just say, he backs up exactly the same record. And I've been in the trenches of indie filmmaking for a decade, and it's very rare. Yeah, so it's pretty awesome to see.
Aaron, let's talk to you for a second. They say that writers live in their head, right? And you're kind of creating this world. What is that? What when you're looking at that blank page and there's the blinking cursor? How do you? I always love to talk when I talk to writers. What is your process? I write at this time of the day, this time in the morning. I have notes. I have cards. I have this. As inside baseball as that sounds, what exactly is the process? As mundane as it may be to you, to us, it's going to be interesting because it's different. So I really want to hear that. Like fill us in on how that works.
Well, this was different because I was co-writing it with the director Panos, and so you kind of have to enter Panos's world, and that also meant Panos's hours of working. And also, I live in New York City. He lives in Vancouver, BC.
So how did you do it? Were you on Skype together?
Honestly, like messages on iPhones. We texted each other incessantly. But it was very different than how I would write alone. And the other great part of it is I wasn't writing alone. You know, it was constant back and forth. So it wasn't like that. I wasn't living in my head. I was living in his head, trying to help him translate something that he had into concrete language or into screenplay format. I mean, he's a very almost synesthetic individual. Like, he seems, when you're on set with him, he sees colors in a way that very few directors I've ever been around do. Like, there's just something about how he creates atmosphere on set. And that's still a part of his writing process. Like, it's in the script in a weird way, which is really hard to articulate. But we really tried to make a screenplay that had the mood and the atmosphere of what he's trying to accomplish. But in terms of like nitty-gritty details, I think it was like I would wake up in New York City at 1 a.m. and start working with him all through the night. Yeah, we became totally vampiric.
Oh, wow.
We're kind of nocturnal people, but with him, I had to deal with the time difference. And so this movie was written very heavily at night. Yeah.
How do you think that contributed to the process? Like,
well, I'm sure it did.
Helped it.
Yeah, and I'm sure it helped. I mean, it's also a very dreamlike movie, so that kind of state helps. I mean, we were the artists who used to deprive themselves of sleep on purpose. The situationists used to deprive themselves of sleep on purpose to have these semi-hallucinatory visions. So I don't know if that was intentional on his part, but it became part of it. And a lot of the times we were just trying to make each other laugh in text messages. Like, there's a lot of stuff that was just like cracking each other up.
Was it? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, what's the line that you guys just kept joking about each other? You would just say it to each other repeatedly, and it's actually now in the film?
There is a line in the movie where Nicolas Cage says to a creature, "I don't want to talk about it." And that was actually like something we just said to each other constantly. We never wanted to articulate our process in a logical, like rational way, so we would just text each other, "I don't want to talk about it." We did it so often, we just one day decided we'd put it in the script as a line of dialogue for the character.
Well, that does kind of touch on the question I wanted to ask. Was your collaborative process kind of smooth, or did you guys butt heads, or was it kind of in the middle?
Oh, for me it was completely smooth, but I knew it was his movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I do a lot of other things in filmmaking, and I just knew completely this was a very personal movie for him. In some ways, I felt it was like the writing equivalent of being an actor. I was like refining takes, and he was guiding them, handing in certain passages. But also just like, I don't know, our ideas would just fuel each other. It was, we became like even closer friends through the process. Sometimes you can't work with friends.
Yeah, I know all about that.
But for his presence, he's kind of like this brooding kind of looking person. Oh yeah, he's like the most oversensitive person I've ever met. He's hilarious. He has the best laugh. If you make him laugh, you feel like the greatest person on earth. Yeah. So like the process was really lovely.
I have another question for you. There's a lot of, I'm sure people out here that have made films, you read books on screenwriting or you read articles about screenwriting. There are a lot of rules. You got to do it this way. This is how the spacing should be. Always do this. Never do this. Are those rules bullshit? And what rules would you say throw out that rule? Or this is a good... So, because I feel the screenplays and the movies that are most successful are the ones that don't follow the rules. So are the rules you didn't follow? Or what would you say to those... Because obviously this isn't your first project. Like, how do you respond to, like, these are the rules you're supposed to follow, and then now that you have experience, like, now you know better what ones really make sense? I feel like there's so many rules put on early emerging writers.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I feel like everybody now is living in such a media-saturated environment. Like, by the time you're 16, you've seen about, 10,000 pieces of narrative. You know what I mean? Like, you've seen so many stories as Saturday morning cartoons, as movies every week, streaming stuff now that everybody watches. I think all those rules about what storytelling is and structure of story, everybody has in their head now. Like, I think that's already absorbed in you. I think when people are starting to learn to write, you turn to sources to try and help you figure out where you just get caught. But I think really this stuff becomes instinctual, and then you can start breaking the rules. Yeah, I think everybody knows 3-act structure now. It's like,
I think it's kind of one of those cases of. I agree with what you're saying, but I also feel that it's important for a lot of people to know the structure before they can, know the rules before you break the rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love that saying.
They can completely discard them.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think, even when I try to write, and you know this because we've had the conversation, like I kind of have to have the structure there, just even if it's very, very basic.
Yeah.
For me to go, okay, these are my destinations, and then once I know those destinations, then I can kind of relax into it and within that structure and then have at it. Knowing that it's just a template, which I'm going to probably discard anyways once you start shooting.
Well, it's a funny thing because I think you can graft the classical 3-act structure, Campbellian mythology, onto anything that broke the rules afterwards. like a horoscope. You can find a way to make it fit because that stuff is inherent in the story. So like what he's saying is really good advice. Like if you know this stuff, then you can start to go wild with it or whatever. And maybe it'll turn out the other end that way. But I think like I chafe a little bit. I can't speak for Panos, but the sort of like structure that is imposed in studio movies right now is so formulaic. I feel it leaves very little room to breathe. And it was, you know, this anthropologist, Joseph Campbell, comes up with this decoding of all human mythologies and finds this formula that's present. And I don't think he ever intended for everybody then to write every story like that. It just started getting used that way. And so that becomes a power structure. And the power structure can become oppressive, you know? So I think there's a lot of joy in like being aware of it and using it and then trying to figure out how to break it a little.
I have a question for both of you, actually. Your film premiered at Sundance, and that must be an incredible experience. What was the most surprising thing about that experience? I mean, something interesting that maybe, I mean, everyone's going to say, it was great to have my movie premiere at Sundance, but there's got to be something else you can tell us about that experience, like something different about what that was about for you guys.
I don't know, maybe you should answer it. I mean, it's, I don't know, we've been really blessed over the past 2 years at this festival. It's really been kind to our company, and so we've been here a few times, and it's always kind of moving in a different way. To me, I don't know, I try to go into it really open and just see like how it's going to be interpreted, because the film's been in this little pressure cooker for so long and there's only like a few of us that have seen it. So the premiere for me is usually knots in my stomach and non-stop shakes through the whole film. And then literally the moment that it's over, it's like, I don't want to go to a premiere party. I don't want to talk to anyone. I want to sleep for a week. You know, just because it's like, oh, we can relax now. You know, so, but, you know, part of that is because there's so many incredible films here that it's like, you know, if this, it's a lot of good pressure. You know, there's nothing wrong with trying to make a masterpiece. In fact, every filmmaker should always have that goal. I want to make a masterpiece.
Aaron, what about your same kind of question? Like,
I would think.
So what about the experience surprised you? Well, premiering here.
I'm just always fascinated by any day in your life that's supposed to be really momentous and there's enormous pressure on it, how it's any other day. Like your stomach gets upset, you don't have time to take a shower as long as you like you get an email about something you have to deal with back at home. Like that stuff is in your head and you're supposed to go to this thing that's going to be like, oh, you've been working years for this. And it's just a day. It's like, but there's like a really beautiful part of that, which is we've had such a good time with SpectroVision. Like after the movie ended, it was snowing like crazy, and I stood and I spied on these teenage kids who were at the movie who had gathered outside a heating lamp to talk about what they thought of it. And I just listened to everything they were saying. And you all walked off as a group. And so then I just walked home alone while it was snowing, thinking about the kids that said about the movie.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was like, and then
That's a great moment.
I got inside the house with them, and we were just friends sitting around the house.
Yeah, we just like kind of all hung out in our sweats and like just, it was like there was no party. We were just in our pajamas and all of us being like, well guys, we did it. Love ya.
Made frozen pizza, listened to music, and sat on couches.
Give me a La Croix. Oh yeah, there we go. Now it's...
They say that the three hardest things to say in life are, I love you, I'm sorry, and I need help. And if you want to be successful as an independent filmmaker, all indie filmmakers, all filmmakers need help. So, Josh, I want to ask you, how do you, when you ask for help, how do you ask for, because when you're making movies that cost a lot of money, and you're asking people for $1 million, or whatever the cost of the movie is, how do you ask people for money? I find it's one of the most common places where filmmakers get stuck, where they get blocked. How do you say, I need $1 million, and justify actually asking for that amount of money?
I don't have any problem asking anyone for money.
But how do you do it? It's easy for you.
It's easy.
How do you do it?
It's easy for me because I believe in what I'm making, and I believe in what I'm supporting. If you're transactional and you're only doing it for the numbers, for me, it's like then you could just come across as like a business person, and it's like I didn't get in this for like the numbers. That's not why I do it. That's not why we do it as a company. So it's like, look, I feel totally comfortable walking up to any financier on a Panos Cosmatos picture and being like, hey, I need this amount of money because this guy is real. This is the real deal filmmaker right here. Do you want to be a part of like cinema history, or do you want to invest in some other fucking movie that just has like 1 billion celebrities and is going to make nothing and be straight to VOD? That's how I talk when I ask for money. That's exactly what I just did. Wow. Because I don't want to waste time. I don't want to have these conversations about money. I want to be on the ground making movies. That's it. That's it. I would be happy if I was doing that 365 days a year.
And then there's the waiting after, right? You have this conversation, so you're going to get, do you just wait for the hard no?
No, you never wait.
You never, you're just, you're moving on.
No, you don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Oh, that's great.
And you let everyone know. Look, I'm just letting you know, I'm not waiting for you to say yes. I'm going to talk to every other person here, and I'm going to ask them for money, and I'm going to ask them for money, and I'm going to ask them for money. And if they say, oh, this project doesn't sound right for me, I'm going to go, cool, what project does sound right? Well, I like this kind of thing, and I like this kind of thing. And oh, you know what, we've got one of those too. Let me put. Right. And then for us, it's never going to be just like, oh, let me look into our goodie bag and like find something that checks all the boxes you just said. It's going to be like, if we don't have something that appeals to a financier on a heart level, then we just don't have anything. And that's the way it goes. That's fine, you know? But
well, on the level of asking for help, if there are any filmmakers out here, raise your hand. A filmmaker who would like to come up on stage and explain your situation, tell us where you need help. Let's bring you on stage, we'll talk to you, and the filmmaker voted on by the audience will win the $1,000 in advertising on the website. I feel like
come on up.
Yeah, why not? No, right there. Like, let's get. I'm gonna put the chair. Come up at the end. No, you're coming up at the end.
Got to run the show.
Who else?
Chris.
Who else? Who wants to sit in the chair of destiny? Right here. It's who comes up first.
Everybody give him a round of applause.
All right, round of applause. Have you guys share moments. Okay, cool. All right, have a seat. And who am I talking to? This gentleman in this amazing purple sweater, which I'm sure comes out once a year for Sundance. I have a drawer of sweaters. I only wear them here. Sir, what's your name? Where are you from?
That's a true story. This is the last time I wore this.
I knew it.
2 years ago at Sundance, actually. My name's Chris Thomas.
Chris, and where are you from?
San Francisco.
Great, Bay Area, great area. Tell us a little bit about your project, where you're stuck, and how this Justice League and or Jedi Council of independent filmmakers here can help solve your problem and make your dreams come true. I don't want to hype it up or anything, but that's actually what's happening here right now in this moment. So tell us about the project, how we can help.
Claims are going to get sued someday, I swear
Well,
to God.
the project is a feature comedy.
Okay.
It is a story about mindfulness and awareness with the backdrop of a yoga pose competition.
And what stage are you at with this project? Where is it? You have a script? Do you have talent attached? Where are you? Where do you need to go to level up on this project?
We've got a script, like the 5th iteration of the script, after like a lot of years of working on it.
Okay.
A lot of advice, but we feel like we've got the story, the good skeleton of the story. But it's a comedy, so we really want to work with the actors when we see them. We did a short, and the short played this last year. We did pretty well. We got into Maui, Napa Valley, Mill Valley Film Festivals. At Maui, Connie Britton came up to us from Friday Night Lights. Yeah, we really like her. She poked me in the chest and said, I want to be in your feature. We said, we want you in our feature. She said, contact my management company. So we sent the script to the management company. We've not heard back.
All right, so
I would say move on. Find someone else. That's the harsh reality.
What's your guys' advice?
Wait, but you asked me how do I get my dream?
Yeah, how do you get? So the dream is to get the movie made, but where's the next level that you need to get to?
I think how this ninja crew could help us.
Yeah, what's your advice?
I feel like because it's a yoga thing, we feel like it could be like general distribution, but it might end up being kind of more of a niche audience. So from a self-distribution strategy, like how could we approach it?
Let me just make sure that I have this correctly. So this is a comedy that's set at like a yoga camp type thing for adults, and like mindfulness plays a part of the whole thing. Is the point of the film to push some kind of like mindfulness message?
Yes.
Just for me personally, that doesn't interest me. Not as a film goer. Like, it depends. Like, if you want to make, because that falls to me under like the spiritual film category, like the genre, and people love to categorize. So like, I think the idea is a strong idea, being like a yoga camp and having it be about people that think they're into mindfulness, but then they're all super fucked up. Which, by the way, has a lot of people that deal with mindfulness, because I'm super fucked up and I'm trying to work on my mindfulness lately. But and I think that's a super strong idea. But I think it's a strong enough idea that you should remove trying to push some kind of like message, and just as a filmmaker keep that message to yourself, knowing that like it's gonna be in the film anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's gonna have your heart, right? So if you just push it as like a straight comedy, I think you could maybe have some more luck. That said, I haven't read your script, and ultimately it comes down to the script. It might be a great pitch and everything, and Connie Britton might have said like, yeah, I want to do it, and then she read the script and she said, I don't want to do it, but I haven't read your script, you know? So how long have you been waiting?
On Connie Britton?
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks. Not that
that's
long.
Nothing.
Yeah, no, we're not.
No.
Never mind.
No, don't move on.
Yeah,
don't listen to him.
I was thinking months.
Yeah, just chill out. It sounds like you're in a good place. She's incredibly talented, and if she saw your short, then, you know.
Well, I mean, he knows as much better than I, but I say just keep writing, and also just add what he's saying, like, what is your story about character-wise? What is your story about narrative-wise? Like you say, yeah, it's about mindfulness and spirituality, but is there an individual for her to play that is a complicated human being that she's going to be interested in playing? You know, I often think, what does an actor want to play? What do they want to get their teeth into?
Yeah, I agree.
Can I ask you a question? Have you done a script reading, like live with actors?
We have, but not with this iteration of the script.
Right. I just find that a live script read is it's useful as you're moving forward and developing it. And I would say you're right. Like 2 weeks is nothing. But there are places where you can list. They're casting newsletters. There's a thing called infolist.com where you can just put out like
for what?
As outreach for certain needs, i.e. casting. I've had indie filmmakers contact me and say, I have the money, I have the location, it has to take place on a lake at a house, but I don't have a script. And this is for real.
Yeah.
So then, something like an info list.
Malik?
Well, that's I know. That's good. It's an inside joke there. But I feel like that some outreach for that might actually help. Any other advice on this?
No, I mean, it sounds like you guys are kind of doing everything right. So, you know. But
yeah, they're just kind of in the middle of the process. You're in the midst
right
of
in that
it.
stage.
So,
You're not financed yet, correct?
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Are you the producer, director, writer?
Right now, we're all those things.
You are all those things.
Well, my partner over there, Dan Damon, he's my creative partner, and he's also a very talented director and editor. So the two of us are writer-directors.
Got it. So you're going to team up to direct it as of right now. Cool. That's
which is
fun.
what we did with the
fun.
short.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And
I'd love to see the short.
Yeah, what's the name of the movie?
Right now, they're working.
Arash is in it too.
Really? Yeah. Wait, I know you. wait a second. I was like, wait a second.
So wait, what's the name of the movie so we can...
Right, the working title is Hellbent.
Hellbent, okay. Hellbent is in the running to vote to win the prize.
Is there a demonic aspect, like supernatural evil?
Well, no, actually, it's a Faustian bargain story with a female lead, which we haven't seen. Yeah. So it's devil.
I just got excited by the word hell.
By the word hell?
Let's give Chris a big hand. Hellbent. Thank you. I think, based on what we heard, could possibly be the greatest film ever made, or a huge piece of shit. We don't know. It's one or the other.
Yeah, there's no in between.
But Hellbent, everyone remember that one. Who else wants to find out which one it is? We're gonna find out which one it is. But let's, folks, who else wants to come and sit in the chair of destiny? Who else would like to tell us about their project? And tell us who you are, where you're from.
Hi, my name is Savannah, and I'm from Las Vegas.
Great.
Yeah. Great.
And so tell us about your project.
Well, I'm just sort of starting out. Like, I'm 22, so I'm still like getting used to this whole thing. And it honestly is just a short film that I'm working on called Red Flags. And it's about crazy people, hence the name. But it kind of starts out with this girl who got off work and she's running late. She has somewhere to be, her boyfriend's parents' house for the first time she's going to meet them. And after work, she's walking alone and she just, out of nowhere, just witnesses like this horrible, brutal murder. And she's just sort of petrified by it, like traumatized. And the man puts like the knife up to her and he decides not to kill her for whatever reason. And so instead of like doing something, she just like leaves without doing anything. And she shows up to her boyfriend's parents' house and she just is trying to forget what just happened to her, and it's like slowly just starting to sink in, and she's like sort of losing her mind, and like her parents, she's realizing, or her boyfriend's parents are like perfect, you know, and like they're rich, and like she's not. So it's like all these things are just like happening to her all at once, and then her boyfriend like proposes to her, and she's just like thinking like she's just trying to stay sane. Yeah, and so she says yes. And then she goes into the bathroom and has like a terrible breakdown, like just trying to forget what happened still. And it just sort of ends with her like just completely losing her mind. Like
we probably no spoilers though, right?
Yeah.
We don't want.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Because I feel like you said enough about it that I feel like I'm already sucked in by the tone, and it's very different kind of short. So
it's basically like the idea is like we are all in our own bubbles like all the time in our daily routines. Like we don't think of like what could happen. Like you could just be walking down the street and then something fucking terrible happens to change your life, like just like that.
But you've captured how like minds get frozen by that, or you just go on, or you see the violence in your regular life just happening. So I think this is really interesting for a short film. You're examining violence in a really interesting way. You have a dynamic about her relationship to other people. So it's a really good idea for a short film.
So what's the question?
Where's your involvement? You wrote it and you're directing it.
I wrote it and I'm directing it. Okay. And like I also act, so I might be a part of it.
No, you should act in it.
I think because it's
I started out as an actor, so now like I said, I'm kind of going into new territory, and like I want to write and direct, and I feel like you should know everything, like know how to edit, know how to do cinematography, just know everything. And
so when are you making this?
I want to make this with like next month if I can. I have.
So why aren't you making this next month?
Well, because it's the money part.
All right. So wait. If I can just stop for a second. Money is an excuse for a filmmaker to not make a movie.
Yeah.
Never ever use money as an excuse to not make it. It's just like you've heard, if you've seen that, Mark Duplass gave this great keynote at South by Southwest a couple years ago. You can find it on YouTube, where his philosophy is that the cavalry isn't coming. No one is going to help you. So whatever resources you currently have, you make the movie with that. Sure, you can go out and pitch it and get money later or do something, or you can just make the best version of the movie you can with what you have, but where can we help you? Where do you need, where are you stuck? What resources could we help? Tell us, and let's see if we know. Look, if there's people we know that can help her out.
What are you lacking for?
Yeah, what do you need to make it happen? Money, you say, is the issue, but
what would the money pay for that you?
And how much money is it? If it's, I have a 20, but that's all I got.
He's got 20.
I have 20,
well,
maybe
for
40.
me, I think it's like learning to use the right resources. Like for casting, I do want to make sure it's the right cast, and like it's just about searching for the best resources and like using that to your advantage.
But this film, like, you have such a strong story, but it's not a budget-dependent idea. It's a short. You're an actress, so you must know some actors. You could make this for nothing. You just have to find some people as hungry as you are to make something. Mm-hmm. Be really picky about who your cinematographer.
I guess that's what it is. Yeah. I want to find people who are like as hungry as I am.
There should be. There's a lot of resources for filmmakers in Vegas. There's a ton. But yeah, like kind of what Aaron is saying. Like, I mean, there was for years before I was actually like able to survive as a filmmaker. Like I was bartending, 3-4 nights a week and working till like 4 o'clock in the morning, and then waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning because I didn't want to be, as I kind of put it, I didn't want to be a slave to my day job. I was like, it doesn't matter that my day job is me working all night long. The industry doesn't give a fuck that I'm a bartender and that I was up till 4. And there's other filmmakers out there that are hungry, super hungry. And so, like, while I was bartending, it's just like I had friends that were bartenders. I made more money as a bartender than I do as a producer. That's not a joke. If you bartend in LA or New York, it's like, it's good.
Harsh truth,
But like, all my friends that were bartenders that poured all their money into like, oh, I'm gonna buy a house and I'm gonna get a fixer-upper and do my thing, that are probably rolling on a lot of fucking money now. Like, I was pouring all my money into shorts, all of it. Every cent I had was like towards my rent and my little shitty car and like my films, because I wanted to put myself through my own like boot camp. And so the point is that whatever money you're making as a hostess, that's enough. It is. Really? I don't even know what the number is. It's enough.
And if I could just clarify for a moment, I think what they mean when they say hungry, that you need to have food on the set. Also, and also, half jokingly, yes. But a lot of times, if you can talk to the right people, you can have food donated. Yeah. You can put a credit in on the short for whatever restaurant that donates food. Feed the crew. But I feel like you could get this made from a volunteer sense.
Just be
most
honest.
Things volunteered.
Just be honest with everybody.
Yeah.
Like if you're as honest with these people as you were just honest now, you will be successful.
You tell your story.
Yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Look, I'm young. I'm a filmmaker. I'm trying to do this. I don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
I have a lot of heart. I really want to fucking do this. Can you help me? And then when you're done, say thank you. If you fuck them, say I'm sorry, and say I love you to your entire crew as often as possible.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And not because you have to, but because you really love your crew. Because if you don't, then you will.
That's why
you will fail.
Yeah.
That's why I love working in film, because the people too. Like I love filmmakers.
You're looking for these people anyway in your life to work with. But a really brutal truth about filmmaking is, and you know this as an actress, you kind of have to make it happen for yourself, which sucks because you feel alone at first until you kind of make the things that get interest where people are more willing to go along with you. But you really, really kind of these days, there's so many avenues and so many things being made, you have to gamble on yourself first. And then when people see the first things you've made, you will pick up more and more people who are willing to follow you. But that's one of the better ideas I've heard for a short in a long time. Yeah. It's really interesting. It has really interesting psychology. So make it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's give Savannah a big round of applause, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for coming up. What other filmmaker would like to come and sit in the chair of destiny? Chair of destiny. Who's next? I think we have time for.
There's no other aspiring.
We have time for how many? What time-wise?
Nobody else.
Who else? One other person? Yes, come up. Don't.
Come up.
Here now. Run! And now I have a question for the people that are filmmakers that didn't run. Why did you not run up here? This is a big opportunity.
Because
you go for it.
My personality.
Oh, you're filming. That's right, you're filming. Well, you can. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm taking your time here. Tell us your name, where you're from, and how we can help you. Here, you can hold this.
Okay, my name is Nora Poggi. I'm from France, but I live in Brooklyn.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Hello.
Cool. What's the name of your project?
I just finished a feature called She Started It, and I want to expand it into a docuseries. It's about women entrepreneurs in tech.
Okay. So where do you need help? How can they help you? How can we give you advice? She started it. Where exactly is the thing that's blocking you from getting to the next level?
I guess now doing this as a docuseries, I don't know exactly how to go about it because I've only done one feature and I don't know how to do docuseries and I don't know where to even go to position it properly or, yeah.
Well, you live in New York.
Yes.
This is a weird thing. Like, so I've worked on Mandy, but I actually work in documentaries too. And I mean, from what we were saying earlier, so I was working in a bicycle shop mostly when we wrote Mandy at the start. Living in New York City, you already have access to so many avenues. There are so many groups for documentary, like grant funding, for screenings, for workshops. They're year-round. I mean, they're out there. Like, and it sounds like you're so far along. You already have a feature. Is it cut?
It's completely. We did a screening tour. It was great, but now.
And so now you want to take it to the docu-series level.
Yes. Yeah. I don't even know who funds this, or I don't know.
Well, Doc NYC. I mean, I'm just gonna blank on the names right now because my head's with our movie. But there really are so many groups in New York that very reputable groups that workshop these things and can take you through this. And there's always the Sundance Labs, and there are so many like groups right now looking for submissions from filmmakers. If you already have a feature cut, you can use that as proof of concept of what you want to do. And it's a very compelling idea. And you should also be looking, I don't know, because it's tech, there has to be some venue out there willing to provide you sponsorship.
Yeah.
That's a question of, do you want to get into that and the compromises that would be made?
Absolutely.
Are you trying to make something that's much more uncompromising in how it
I would
portrays?
rather have freedom on the creative side, but yeah, the money is there, so maybe you have to compromise.
Yeah, but that's a really, it's a dilemma already, because you could portray honestly what's happening to women in tech, which isn't, it's not a good situation. But if a sponsor came in, they might say, no, let's try and make X Corp look really great, and their hiring practices are commendable and perfectly diverse. Yeah, so that might happen, and you have to be aware of it, because it really is messed up right now. I have a documentary that's about police brutality, and I've been offered money for it from people who are tied up with marketing secret labs for shoe companies and stuff who want cool youth culture images. And that's really weird, so you have to be aware of it. I think really you just need to go ahead with the groups that are in New York. And I mean, just do a few Google searches, you'll find them. Yeah. Apply to the Sundance Labs.
Oh, I have a suggestion, regardless of the result, would you guys, after this, exchange emails and have a communication and point her in the right direction?
What have you gotten us into?
I'm trying to facilitate. I genuinely want to help filmmakers, so if this will help, I want to make it happen, regardless of the winner of tonight.
What's your name again?
Nora Poggi.
I do know some people in the doc community. I'll get my email.
So after, great. All right, let's give Nora a big round of applause. Thank you so much for coming up on stage. Thank you, great. And how much time do we have for another, how much time do we have? How many more filmmakers can we have? How much time?
8:25. 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, I think maybe we have time for one or two more filmmakers. Right here. Run. Here, whatever. Okay, tell us, what's your name and where are you from?
My name is Martha and I live in San Diego.
Great, here, grab the microphone. Martha, thank you. Now tell us about your project, where you're stuck, how we can help.
Okay, I was thinking about ways of kind of spreading the word about the depletion of bluefin tuna. And so I wanted to write a fictional story about it that would be entertaining. So I wrote a story about a scientist who was studying tuna by the magnetic tags, that's how they trace them. But what happens in the story is some big bad commercial fishing industry, the big cannery boats, get a hold of the tags, and then the Pacific bluefin tuna disappear from the oceans. And then it becomes this drama where she gets kidnapped and almost ground up in the cannery, and the Coast Guard comes, and at the end of it, there's a big scene. Well, there's a really big scene at the end where they're trying to pull into Mexican waters to get them out of the U.S. waters, where there's different quota for fish, and it takes place in Ginza and Brazil and all over. And where did I get stuck? I got stuck because I wrote the screenplay. I got kind of shy about pitching it. Then I rewrote it as a novel, which I did publish. And I guess I'm stuck now. I want to go back and noodle the screenplay with a team of people that really know a little more about the storytelling. Or go into a lab and try to figure out a way to, and then I don't know what to do quite with the screenplay.
Well, that's a lot to unpack. I think specifically you want to target what is the next thing what's the result? I think
the result is
I'd
like to rewrite the screenplay into a format that is shootable.
Okay.
And the book had really good reviews. Okay. The novel has great reviews.
Well, I would say that your instincts are right to want to partner with someone that has more experience in the structural aspects of screenwriting. I think that, a lot of us tend to be like, well, I'm this way. I'm like, I want to do everything myself. I want to prove to everyone that I can do everything and I don't need help. No, I can do it myself. But that's like a fucking 10-year-old doing that. Like, no, I don't need help. But then you clearly need help, So I think the best way to do it is to just, I think your head's in the right space. Like just finding someone that you get along with as a friend first. That's very, very important, especially when it's a writing partner. Like you have to be friends. You have to be able to do what Aaron was talking about with Panos, about like this just back and forth with no judgment and just so it can free flow. And find someone that like complements your strengths, but like fills in the gaps, which is what basically what a crew. That's basically that's what producing is, just like getting all these people for this giant machine, and the goal is to hire people that are smarter than you are. And be able to go like, I'm okay with you being smarter than I am in that department. Not that one though. I want to be the smart guy. Yeah. But yeah, and I think that's literally the first step. Aaron?
Well, you published it as a book. Have you made some royalties from it?
No, I just printed it in the last few weeks. I printed it myself, but I had sent out the story to a lot of scientists and people who think it's got a lot of good potential for film because it was first written as a screenplay, so it has a lot of action in it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I was going to say.
The question is where do we go?
If you could afford to pay a writer some small sums to start, that would help. It is fair to ask people for the work and labor they do, but if it's like something that you already have that you want to develop into a movie and you're a producer, then you kind of got to find money yourself to pay for that. And I think it's always fair. Even when I've had people do like a day camera on a documentary, I always pay them something. Yeah. So you're kind of in that situation. If you want somebody to write a screenplay, you might have to think about that. I'm sorry if that sounds horrible.
I paid him in pizza.
but I like pizza.
Let's give Martha a big round of applause, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Who else wants to come on stage and sit in the chair of destiny? I think we have time for one more. Who else? One more. Look, your dreams could come true.
How about
yeah, I feel like someone should come on stage.
How about you?
You can go back.
I'm good.
Yes. Yeah. All right, wait. What's your name and where are you from?
Hi, my name is Josh Waller.
Oh, we're gonna get real.
I'm from Los Angeles, but originally from Paso Robles, California.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Now, what's the project? Tell us about it, and then where are you stuck, and how can we help?
The project is called The Herd. It is a cross between the movie Predator and The Proposition. It is a creature western that tracks a group of cattle rustlers, or not cattle rustlers, but mercenaries that have been hired to push strong herd of cattle from Montana to Mexico territory. And the entire time that they're moving along this path, they are being hunted and picked off by something. It's a creature, but which I will not reveal. So right now we're a little bit stuck. Like we're attaching some cast. We have a few pieces of talent attached.
All unknowns.
Yeah, all complete unknowns. Three of them are known, but it's because it's a large ensemble cast. You know, we have to, and it's a large budget. We're a little bit stuck. We're needing to do some more casting and.
Yeah, where are you stuck? What's up?
Yeah, what is there an actor that you could target that you think would be perfect? And also, I feel like you could be in the movie. You have sort of a rugged cowboy look.
Oh, he can act.
I know.
Totally
No, I'm serious. Throw a cowboy hat on you. I feel like, you know, some chewing tobacco. You're good. You're good as a cast member.
He's rugged.
But I stopped chewing in high school.
But are you targeting someone in particular that you think would help close the financing?
Or yeah, I think at this level, it would need to be someone like of this kind of level to close that kind of.
By this mean like Tom Hanks?
Like who would I ideally like?
Right, yeah.
I mean, Hugh Jackman actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Kind of my dream cast would be Hugh Jackman. Just because I think he's a Renaissance man. Like he can kind of do a little bit of. He's got that old school Hollywood charisma, even, you know.
And he can sing.
And yeah, but I want to see him, you know, I like when he gets like extremely gritty, and I'm interested in telling like a very real Western, you know, that, you know, kind of makes my father proud type Western, where he goes like, those guys know how to ride horses. Look at that. You see that horse right there? Yeah, he knows how to ride.
Well, here, I guess I like, you're an accomplished producer. I don't understand why you don't just contact Hugh Jackman's agent with the script and make him a producer on it.
Well, I want to know what he has to say. I want to know what his advice is.
What's your advice?
Advice of what? Getting Hugh Jackman?
Yeah, how do I get Hugh Jackman?
How do you get,
Yeah, Aaron, how do I fucking get Hugh Jackman?
Josh Waller, dude. Like,
I wanted real advice. I would like, what if you didn't know me right now?
Are you asking this because you're worried about the script? It's not in the shape you want it to be. Do you feel the script is ready?
I feel like the script is really strong.
And if you pass it to an actor of his caliber, he would respond to it.
I think it's always hard when you're approaching someone like, you know, Hugh Jackman or someone like at that level, and you don't have the financing in place, because it really doesn't matter who you are unless you're like, you know, Jerry Bruckheimer or someone like that. Sure. And you just call up and be like, hey, we're thinking about shooting this $50 million film. Why don't you pass this along to your, you know, your number one client that, you know.
No, you just got to do it. You have the access and the ability, and your company has built a legacy enough now.
I was asking you to treat it as if you didn't know me.
Yeah.
Like, and then you hear talking about like, whatever, this didn't work.
If I didn't know you, I'd say you're insane.
Let's give Josh a big round of applause. And let's bring up everyone who came to pitch. I want to say you guys were all really brave. Let's bring up Chris, Savannah, Nora, Martha. Josh, do you want to? We're gonna. You're not qualified. You're disqualified, right?
Oh, me. No.
Yes. No. Yeah. Let's bring them all up here. Where did Chris go? All right.
And I was the only one clapping. I feel like.
And we're gonna go by round of applause here. We'll go by round of applause.
Oh, that's
what is that not? Is there a better way to do it, or do you guys want to vote?
Well, I think it's a weird thing to do because like some of them are in early development, some of them don't need advertising.
What's the most fair way to do this?
Let's split it up between them all.
Yeah, let's just make them fight each other for it.
Give $250 to each of them, worth of whatever they want, and when she's done with her short film.
But isn't it more fun from a tension standpoint to have?
No, that's not what the
Let's help. If we're gonna help filmmakers out, let's help them.
$250 each.
All right.
She can hire a first draft screenwriter.
All right. Our sort of American Idol judges here have determined it's a four-way tie. Let's give Chris, Savannah, Nora, and Martha a big round of applause. I want to thank them. Don't leave. I have parting gifts for you guys. I want to thank you guys. I also want to thank our guests here.
Yes, thank you guys
Josh
so
and
much.
Aaron from Mandy, my co-host Anthony. Again, thanks everyone from Legion M. Thank you guys. This has been a great experience.
Hey,
I hope we can do this next year. Thank you, and let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
Thank you. I have hats for you. Thank you very much. Have a hat.